The Sawdust Standard and the Return of Scarcity. I learned something today that felt simultaneously absurd and entirely predictable. It wouldn't have crossed my radar had a friend in Northern Europe not called me. His voice was laced with the specific kind of quiet desperation that usually accompanies a margin call. But he wasn't talking about stocks. He was talking about wood pellets. Here is the situation. My family stockpiled fuel for 3 years last summer, not because we enjoy hoarding compressed sawdust, but because I operate as a sovereign individual. I understand a simple truth that modern supply chain managers seem to have forgotten. When winter comes, everyone wants heat at the exact same time. And when everyone wants the same commodity simultaneously, the efficient market ceases to exist. It is replaced by a primitive bidding war where the prize is not freezing to death. To my American readers, this might sound like a quaint old-world problem. You might look at your decorative pellet stove in the living room, the one you use to create a cozy ambiance while watching Netflix, and think, what's the panic? You should pay attention. The United States is the world's largest exporter of wood pellets. We are the Saudi Arabia of sawdust. But here is the business model, and here lies the risk. The American pellet industry was not built for you, the homeowner in Vermont or Oregon. It was built for export. It seems cheap, it seems abundant, but what happens when the European energy grid destabilizes again? The ships in Savannah will not stop loading. The domestic supply, the bag at your local hardware store, is merely the leftover crumbs of a massive export banquet. While the U.S. market seems calm, a small Baltic nation, Latvia, bang next to very unfriendly Russia, has been hit. Why does this matter to you in Chicago or London? Because Latvia is a microcosm of what happens when a localized market breaks. Latvia is a major timber producer. They make the pellets. Yet right now, in the dead of winter, there is a shortage. It is a fascinating case study in the Unobtainium Event. Locals are reporting that pellets have simply vanished from shelves. This is currently a localized issue, but let this be a warning. Being a producer of a resource does not guarantee you access to it. The U.S. produces oil, yet we have gas shortages. The U.S. produces food, yet shelves went empty in 2020. Geography is no longer a shield against global market forces. Let's take a brief detour into chemistry, or rather, alchemical sarcasm. We are all familiar with the periodic table. You have gold, silver, oxygen. But every generation, usually once or twice a lifetime, the average consumer gets introduced to a new, highly volatile element, unobtainium. In 2020, toilet paper became unobtainium. It didn't matter if you had $1 million, you couldn't wipe your assets. In 2021, microchips became unobtainium. Ford built trucks and parked them in fields because they lacked a $2 part. In 2026, in parts of Europe, compressed wood has become unobtainium. It is the moment when an asset transitions from a commodity you haggle over to a necessity you beg for. You might laugh at the man hoarding pellets today or canned food, but when the element unobtainium enters your life, you realize that the guy with the full shed is not crazy. He's just the only one who did the math on availability risk versus price risk. My friend in Europe called his supplier and asked, "What is the price?" The supplier laughed.
Price? Be happy if I can get you a pallet. We have optimized our lives for price, ignoring availability. Howard Marks teaches us about second-level thinking. First-level thinking says, it's summer, pellets are cheap, I'll buy them later when I need them. Second-level thinking says, it's summer, prices are low because nobody wants them, supply chains are fragile. I will buy now, guaranteeing my sovereignty and treating the inventory cost as an insurance premium against winter chaos. If you rely on a complex global supply chain to keep your children warm in January, you are not a homeowner, you are a tenant of the global market. And the market is a cruel landlord. In the U.S., pellets are still cheap. In Europe, they're volatile. The smart move isn't to speculate on the price. The smart move is to remove the liability. Buy your Unobtainium before it gets its name. Fill the shed, fill the tank, because next week the weather might turn, the panic might subside, and the Unobtainium will turn back into wood shavings. But until then, stay warm, stay sovereign. Atlas Shrugged Capitalist.